This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Well, we have some poll results. July 31st, 2023, in the middle of summer, very far out from the actual presidential primary and presidential general election for the U.S. But what we're seeing, New York Times Siena poll of GOP Grand Old Party primary candidates, Trump is still up there, 54%. DeSantis, 17%. Pence, Scott, Haley, Ramaswamy, Christie, 3% and 2%, very far back. The closest competition is DeSantis. And we have Jonathan Greenberg from the great state of Illinois. He is one of my regular go-tos because he is a political wonk. He follows this. He's been active in Chicago, Illinois, politics on the Republican side. He's an expert in foreign affairs, certainly Israel-centric foreign affairs. Jonathan, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Tom. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I am concerned. I know you're not tethered at the hip to any candidate. You are like me. We've spoken before. You are not supporting Donald Trump. And I think there are a lot more people than what this poll you would think indicates. DeSantis is my choice. You have said, and we'll get it from you directly, that he would be your choice over Trump, the Floridian governor, at 17%. What's your take on this? Trump at 54%, DeSantis at 17%. I think more people will vote for DeSantis, and I think it's too early to give an outcome, like the New York Times is seemingly predicting, that it's Trump's to lose.
Yeah, so a number of things. First of all, DeSantis is my candidate. I'm backing him. I'm an enthusiastic supporter. I think he's been a great governor. Has a phenomenal record of actual conservative accomplishments. Things that he promised he would do, he did. So I really like DeSantis.
Which makes me happy. By the way, did you see him with Megyn Kelly? She was not, in my opinion, very fair. She went almost every... I mean, you're the scholar, you're the academic, you're a lot smarter than me, but you know, like in ethics class and theology class, I mean, she made every question kind of at the front negative. Okay, this is bad. What do you say? People bitch at you about this, Governor. People say you failed here. That was the lead of every question. I thought, good grief, Megan. But he answered thoughtfully and without emotion.
Right. I think that's one of the things that he's really good at. He's capable of handling badly framed questions from the media, and when it's an unfriendly, so I don't think Megyn Kelly's an unfriendly questioner, but when it's an unfriendly questioner, he's also really good at turning it around on the questioner and making him look bad. Listen, so I'm behind him. The reason I'm not concerned about polls, first, it's really early. Second of all, Trump is effectively an incumbent. He's the incumbent leader of the party running to get the nomination again, and he's being treated by most people in the party as an incumbent. He's also, the indictments, I think, some of the unfair indictment, especially in New York, really kind of rallied people to him. They see him as being oppressed by the judicial system, and where, in reference to the New York case, I agree with that. So, I think there are some reasons that he's that far ahead. I do think DeSantis is the only one that can topple him, and for people like me who really don't believe he should be nominated or elected to another term, I would like to see everybody who also doesn't want Donald Trump to get the nomination get out of the race. I like Nikki Haley a lot. I like Tim Scott. I'd like them to get out of the race. I don't think Chris Christie's doing any good at all with the vanity exercise, and he should get out of the race. Vivek Ramaswamy is not going to get out of the race because he's there to buttress Trump, so he's going to stick around, but everybody else should get out. And right now, and those voters will have effectively one place to go. And I think DeSantis, look, he doesn't need to be at 50% in the polls in August of 2023. He needs to be first in Iowa in January. He needs to take that success and build on it in New Hampshire. It's a state by state slog starting in about 5-6 months. So those are the polls that matter. I really don't care about a national poll in August of 23. I'm much more interested in how he's doing in Iowa, how his ground operation looks in Iowa, who's supporting him. The governor's behind him in Iowa. To me, I think he does. If he does well there, then we're off to the races. So I think he's appropriately focused on. Did you see his speech in Iowa the other day? And
yes.
Compare and contrast it with Trump's. DeSantis is talking about his accomplishments and what he wants to do for you and your family. Trump is talking about grievance and anger. The fun atmosphere of his 2016 rallies has given way to this really angry, grievance atmosphere. It's unpleasant.
It's an unpleasant vibe. We're talking with Jonathan Greenberg, who's political expert and been involved with many campaigns on the Republican side. And I'm surprised you have not been rabbit trail here, been not picked up by a PR firm or communications firm on the Republican side of things. For instance, Americans for Prosperity. There are a lot of groups out there. There are a lot of firms in D.C. You have kids. You're hunkered down in Illinois, but you would do remarkably well there. Let's talk Illinois.
Well, I'm happy doing. I do charity. I run a charitable foundation, which I'm very happy doing. I help give away money. So
well, I know you do, and I didn't want to get into your personal what you do for a living, but what you do was very noble. I wanted to. By the way, you mentioned Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa, and Trump is vicious. Trump, if you don't support him or change at any level, vacillation at any degree, he says, I never liked you. And he goes with his pejoratives, with his caustic commentary. And that's why, last week we had State Senator Jeff Reichert on, who's switched, and he's a prominent Marine veteran. 2 tours of duty in Iraq, and Trump went after him too. And I think that is going to haunt Trump. If he continues to do that, it's like in a trial. If you're so vicious in your not only closing and opening, but in your questioning and interrogatories, I think that the jury would be the voter in my analogy. I think that comes back to haunt you at the end of the day when the vote comes. I do.
Well, I think he's going to keep doing it because that's who he is. He's been doing it his entire career. That's his personality. And look, one of the reasons why I don't think he should get another term as president is, he's completely undisciplined. We're really lucky. We got some really good outcomes from the Trump administration. We did. The 4 years that Trump was in there were some things that were a disaster for conservatives. We lost the suburbs. We lost a lot of college-educated voters. The coalition that we had is not the coalition that we have today, but we got some good policy outcomes. We also got some policy outcomes that were really bad, and that he's just completely undisciplined. He doesn't know how to go from idea to outcome, and DeSantis does. DeSantis has an extensive record of saying, "I'm going to do this," and then driving results to get there, and that's what conservatives should want.
Yeah, agreed. I think of Illinois, and I think of the big city, Chicago. I was looking up, and I won't get into all the details, but it's like 48% of voters in your state lean Democrat, 33% lean Republican or are Republican GOP members, and then about 20% no leaning. They're unaffiliated, they're independent, they're nonpartisan. Do you see Illinois with such a huge population helping DeSantis? Or at this juncture, they haven't made up their mind? That's what I think, the latter point.
I mean, the thing that it's a good state for the primary, obviously. We're not competitive in a general election. A lot of the people who consider themselves to be centrist in this state really aren't. They're centrist in name only. They've never pulled the lever for a Republican, and they never will. So I think we're a very blue state, unfortunately. But in the primary, we're a big state. We got a lot of delegates to the National Convention, and I hope. Listen, we're later down. We're after. I think we're the week after Super Tuesday, so we're not going to be a focus at all for anybody for a while. So it was just fine. But if I'd love to. I want to see them win Iowa. I want to see them either win or be competitive in New Hampshire. I think if that happens, then we go down to South Carolina. I think by then Haley and Scott have dropped out. I cannot see them endorsing Donald Trump, either one of them.
Yeah, I can't either. We got Jonathan Greenberg with us. You hear the music. I was looking of the Catholics in Illinois, 39% are Republican, 44% lean Democrat. I don't get that one. Let's come back with Jonathan Greenberg, talk a little bit more about presidential politics and how we think DeSantis could win, we hope. Stay with us. Tom Anderson Show.
This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
July 31st, the upshot from the New York Times. Welcome back to the Tom Anderson Show. Noting the New York Times Siena poll, the twice indicted former President Trump leading across nearly every category, this is a quote, and region, as primary voters wave off concerns about his escalating legal jeopardy. It's true. We have Jonathan Greenberg with us from the great state of Illinois, longtime political operative, counselor, advisor for the GOP. And Jonathan, big question. From the optics, you're not on any team at present. Where do you see Trump's target being in his speaks, he goes state by state in his big city town hall meetings. What is he in terms of subject matter? I presume DeSantis, and what's the theme?
Yeah, the most easy emotional response that people have to politics is that they want to be on the team that's winning. And one of the things and Trump has a really visceral understanding of human beings that way, that they don't want to lose. They want to be on the winning team. By the way, the whole facade that he's created around the 2020 election and how he didn't lose, he knows very well that he lost the election, but he also knows that he can't be seen as a loser. And so the reason that he's dragged the entire American electoral system through the dirt as he has the last couple of years has nothing to do with the electoral system or the American people. It has to do with him not appearing to be a loser, because the only thing Trump cares about is Trump. So the way that he's gone after DeSantis is really smart, right? He's presenting this as it's already over. DeSantis is sinking. Nobody likes Ron DeSantis. He's awkward. His wife is Lady Macbeth. He's Scott Walker 2.0. And it's a really smart strategy. It's over before it starts. Don't even bother paying attention to what he has to say, because he's just going to lose, and I'm going to win, and you want to be on the winning team. So it's a smart strategy.
Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin, folks. That's who Jonathan's referring to, who we had on the show several times. No, you're right.
I love
I think
Scott
you're
Walker,
accurate. Me too.
Was a phenomenal governor.
And DeSantis is there's similarities, but in a good way. And DeSantis, I think, has a tougher. He's more true grit than Walker, so I don't like the comparison when Trump does that. Obviously, he does that to try to distract. When we hear about Trump conceivably winning and Republican voters having to decide, do we support him or not, there is a swath of Republicans across the nation, I'm one, that could not bear to vote for Trump. Certainly, again, I voted for him before. So there will be write-ins. And what does that mean?
Well, I think Alaska voters certainly have some experience with write-ins, don't they? And
yes.
And successful write-in candidates. So
Of course, he's talking about U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, the biggest write-in success, I think, in American history. Huge. She won. She beat Joe Miller when she lost in the primary. So this is true. But or will he even get to that level? I know you're not Nostradamus, but I just think it's so early. Things can change. We heard from Ambassador Francis Rooney, former congressman in Florida. He said it's going to be tough, and he knows Ron DeSantis, supports him, friend of his and his wife. He said it's going to take a misstep from Trump, and I would think he's already had missteps. He said it's going to be getting stomped in a debate before Iowa. What do you think?
I actually think it's going to be a drip, drip, drip. You know, Trump's rallies are not what they were in 2016. His energy level isn't he's older. I think it's going to be a gradual degradation of what he used to be, and people seeing that degradation in front of them, and people seeing more from DeSantis. And again, that doesn't take place at a national level. I wouldn't expect the national polls to change all that much. It's going to take place in Iowa. It's going to take place in New Hampshire. It's going to take place in South Carolina. And those states will be a bellwether for where the party is overall. And Iowa Republicans can send a message to the national Republicans, and then New Hampshire can send it, and then South Carolina. That's why we do these early states.
Well, let's talk about age. You brought it up. DeSantis is only 44. He has a long public service career ahead of him and behind him. Trump is 77. Biden is 80. Both a 77-year-old and an 80-year-old wanted to be president when they're 78 and 81, which means you're talking mid-80s, early 80s. We just saw Mitch McConnell freeze. I thought he was having a stroke. It was very scary. 19 seconds. I mean, the people made fun of that, but I didn't think it was funny. And I worry about his health, Senator McConnell out of Kentucky. And I'm thinking to myself, good Lord, why are so many seniors running and people supporting them? No offense to seniors. I love their votes. I love their support. I love their money for donations to these candidates. But don't you think that's an issue? Is that the elephant, no pun intended, in the room?
No, I mean, he's obviously, Trump's in a lot better shape, appears to be in a lot better shape than Biden does, certainly in public, despite them being relatively similar in age. I think that the most important question you can ask is, and when you come to people who are serious Trump partisans, who are immovable on the issue of Trump, you have to ask yourself or ask them, what is it that Donald Trump would have to do to lose your support? And if the answer is nothing, then you're not in a political party, you're in a religion. And that's fine if that's what you want your religion to be, but I already have a religion. I don't need politics to be a substitute for it. And my politicians are there to serve my interests. That's why I vote for people. I don't vote for people because I'm a fanboy of them. And if that's why people are voting for Trump, then, those people need to seriously, get to church.
Sure. Well, and you know what? You have rabbi credentials, do you not?
I do, yeah.
No, I see you laugh, but I mean, you're not an active rabbi, but you are a scholar. We've talked so many times on the show about Israel and governance and policies. Where do you see Trump's favor from Jewish voters in America surfacing versus DeSantis? Both of them seem very pro-Israel, so there's not going to be a difference there.
I think most Jewish conservatives were thrilled by the policies of the Trump administration. They moved the embassy to Jerusalem. They were very supportive of Israel. They canceled the Iran deal. They killed Qasem Soleimani from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. A lot of things that I really don't think any other president would have been crazy enough to do. Killing Qasem Soleimani, moving the embassy, those were things that normally the State Department, the Defense Department would have put a stop to. And Trump doesn't care what they think. So in that way, I think we were all really grateful for those policies, and I remain really grateful for those policies. I just don't think that those policies, only he will do them going forward. I think DeSantis can be counted on, most of the Republicans can be counted on to carry those things forward. And the baggage that Trump comes with is awful, in my estimation. I'm not sure he not only am I not sure he gets elected, I think he might clobber the rest of the down ticket races.
Agreed.
And we have a Senate to win. It's a very favorable Senate map for Republicans. You know, if we nominate the wrong guy, we're going to blow it.
It's true. Do you think that's one of the biggest deficits against Trump, that his endorsement, ask Sarah Palin for Congress here in Alaska, his endorsement doesn't seem to matter anymore to people? I don't care about poll results.
Ask Herschel Walker in Georgia, ask Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. I mean, we nominated some really bum candidates, and we lost races that we could have won. And look, we don't have the Senate now because we couldn't retake the Georgia Senate seat. We should have been able to, and we couldn't take.
And Dr. Oz, so much better of a statesperson than Fetterman. I mean, what a joke. I don't know what voters were thinking there, but Trump didn't help.
Oz was a terrible candidate. We nominated the wrong guy. There were other people in the primary that had we nominated them, we win that race easily against John Fetterman. But we blew it because Trump went for the celebrity candidate.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Jonathan Greenberg, it's always a pleasure. Keep up the good work to get GOP members elected in Illinois, especially in Chicago. We will continue this conversation in the summer, in the fall. Thank you, my friend, for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
You betcha. There's Jonathan Greenberg supporting DeSantis and cautionary on Trump. Folks, check us out online, TomAndersonShow.com, and have a great day.